Welcome back to Discovering SCP. Been a while, hasn't it? Today we're going to be checking out SCP-2000, Deus Ex Machina, by Dr. Maxwell, SCP Readings. Usually we check out things from the Exploring series, or the Volgun, but yeah, this will be the first time I've ever seen a video from his channel, so make sure to go and give your support down in the description. It'll be linked at the very top. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Oh?
Warning, HMCL and O5 approval required. The file you are attempting to access is available to personnel with level 4-2000 clearance only. This clearance is not included in general level 4 security protocol.
Not familiar with what 4-2000 means.
Attempting access beyond this point without necessary clearance is grounds for termination of Foundation employment and cancellation of all educational, medical, retirement, and mortality benefits. By submitting your credentials, you hereby consent to exposure to a known cognitohazardous image, and verify that you have been inoculated against that image. In the event of unauthorized access, this console will become inoperable. Security personnel will be dispatched to revive you and escort you to a detention cell for interrogation. Attempting to access this file from any computer not connected to the Foundation intranet will result in immediate termination, regardless of clearance. Submit login credentials. Level 4-2000 clearance required.
This is serious.
Security cognitohazard activated. Scanning for neural activity.
Jeez, what is that? You have sound effects too.
Consciousness confirmed. Retrieving file.
Remember us?
You people don't get it. I don't think you ever will.
Item number, SCP-2000. Object class, Thaumiel. Special containment procedures.
Okay, I did a little research into the SCP things again. It has been a while. I believe Thaumiel is an SCP that was created by the Foundation in order to secure and contain other SCPs. There might be more to that, but that's my general understanding of it. The last time we got to a Thaumiel, I think I was watching a video with Serby. It was about this giant eel. That was what gave the amnestics to the SCP Foundation. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it has been a very long time.
The entrance to SCP-2000 is disguised as a disused park ranger station in Yellowstone National Park. Despite several civilian trespassing attempts, the entrance has yet to be breached in the installation's recorded history, and no further physical containment has been deemed necessary. Protocol Plain Sight 201 is in effect for SCP-2000.
Plain Sight 201?
Necessary supplies and replacement personnel may be delivered via unmarked road vehicles or civilian helicopter as appropriate. No personnel below level 4-2000 clearance are permitted access to documentation regarding SCP-2000 or any protocols associated with its containment and upkeep. No personnel below level 5-2000 clearance are permitted access to SCP-2000 below sub-level 3. All personnel assigned to SCP-2000 must submit to a neural archetype scan on a monthly basis. Personnel stationed on site must submit to weekly scans to be stored locally. Level 4-2000 personnel or above stationed on site are not permitted to leave Yellowstone National Park during the course of their assignment. In the event of transfer, either elective or compulsory, Class A amnestics must be administered and false memories implanted consistent with assignment to other high-security or Keter-class SCP objects.
Yeah, this is mandatory.
Additional personnel may be assigned to SCP-2000 and granted temporary level 4-2000 clearance at the discretion of the item's HMCL supervisor, currently Dr. Charles Gears, and O5 Command. The exterior surface of SCP-2000 is surrounded by Scranton reality anchors, or SRAs, every 20 meters, arranged hexagonally to prevent incursion by hostile anomalous interference.
I think we learned about them, or they were mentioned in an SCP that we watched before. I don't think I specifically know exactly what they are, but I do remember the doctor's name was Scranton, and it had something to do with, like, interdimensional stuff and, like, the bending of reality. Apologies for the weird cut. I actually went and searched up what they were, and, like, I tried to find where I heard it from, but I think I heard it from SCP Red Reality. But yeah, that's all I remember about these.
arranged hexagonally to prevent incursion by hostile anomalous interference. Each SRA's function must be checked semi-annually and replaced as necessary. Technicians servicing SRA components may reference document SRA 033 revision 1.0.7. 5 exacs capable of maintaining stable tachyon flux across the expanse of the facility, maximum output rating at 100 watts each, have been installed and are to be maintained monthly. Technicians servicing exacs components may refer to document exacs 864 revision 1.3.0. One pseudo-Riemannian manifold has been initiated at the entrance to sublevel 4 and must remain open at all times.
That?
In the event of the manifold's failure, procedure Dead Euclid 101 is to be executed immediately. Other non-anomalous life support and utility systems may be maintained in accordance with standard Foundation maintenance protocol.
Okay, I'm like only 4 minutes into the video, and I've found out that there is still so much that I need to learn about SCP. Oh god.
101.5, Mission Critical Components. Wherever possible, non-anomalous materials and resources are to be used for SCP-2000's maintenance and repair. In the event of any K-Class scenario which does not compromise the existence or function of SCP-2000, procedure CYA-009 is to be enacted as soon as possible. Remaining Foundation installations globally are to monitor the scenario as it unfolds, preserving what material resources are possible under the Ganymede Protocol until such time as all remaining sites respond all clear to SCP-2000 queries as defined in Document 2000 XKAC-1.9. Upon receipt of all clear code, Procedure Lazarus 01 is to be implemented.
Lazarus.
Administrator note.
I want this on permanent record. And I don't rightly care if you think it's an insult to your intelligence. Some things are just this important. This device is absolutely not an excuse to let down our god or take greater risks with SCP objects, or cross-test them, or whatever you might have in mind. Primary containment is still our best chance at survival. Otherwise, there would be no reason to make the cover-up so extensive.
Okay. Let me make a guess here before we actually get the reveal as to what exactly this thing is. Deus Ex Machina, obviously, is something used in stories to randomly come in. Well, not randomly, but it comes in to prevent something from happening. And we are watching this in accordance with the Marianas Trench documents, which were about a world that was gone and was kind of like reset in a way. I think in that particular SCP, it wasn't that it was like a new reality, but the original person who was there and who wrote the document was kind of there at the Marianas Trench before there was an ocean there. So maybe it's some sort of they're installing the anchors near the facility, so maybe this device bends reality to fix whatever the SCP Foundation might have messed up. And that's why they're talking about yeah, this isn't an excuse for you guys to go and try new things. This is just a safety measure in order to ensure that humanity can survive somehow, right? Maybe I could think of it as a fallout shelter or something.
We can only suspend God's disbelief so many times before the universe just says no. And considering what we've had to deal with in these past few decades, we may have passed that point already. Former Administrator Dr. William Fritz.
Description: SCP-2000 is a subterranean Foundation installation originally constructed sometime in the last years for the purpose of reconstructing civilization in the event that a K-class end-of-the-world scenario could not be averted in time to prevent humanity's extinction or near extinction. Since its inception, SCP-2000 has been activated at least twice.
Oh.
Foundation records regarding SCP-2000's construction and history prior
Maybe one of those times had to do with the Marianas Trench document? Potentially?
to this assumed first use have been lost. Whether this information blackout is the result of accident or design is impossible to determine. The mission critical portion of this installation begins 75 meters below ground level and extends to a 100-meter depth. Although the scope of engineering required to recreate SCP-2000 in its entirety is impossible to execute while maintaining secrecy, all subsystems of SCP-2000 have been successfully reproduced in laboratory setting. The installation and all procedures involved in its upkeep are mundane in nature. See Document 2000 SSEX for information regarding esoteric Foundation technologies necessary for SCP-2000's function. Primary power for the facility is a liquid fluoride thorium reactor, or LFTR, rated for 1 gigawatt total output, with a reactor life of 70 years at maximum capacity. A geothermal generator has also been installed to take advantage of the region's volcanic activity.
Of course.
This generator is
Yellowstone,
capable
right?
of powering the facility in standby mode indefinitely. SCP-2000 also contains water treatment facilities, air purification and recycling systems, hydroponic production wings, and housing necessary to permanently sustain up to 10,000 personnel.
So yeah, fallout
To
shelter.
fulfill its primary mission, SCP-2000 includes 500,000 bright Zarshian hominid replicators, or BZHRs. At peak capacity, SCP-2000 is capable of producing 100,000 viable, non-anomalous humans per day, with a warm...
Wait. I think this was also something in the Mariana's Trench document thing. How they don't necessarily save humanity. In a way they do, obviously, but like, they create non-anomalous human beings to replace civilization. So no, not really like a fallout shelter. More like a cloning facility. Well, not... I don't know if it's really cloning. I don't understand how those machines work yet, but... Well... I am a mad scientist, so I'm not going to question the ethics of this experiment.
warm-up period of 5 days. Utilizing an underground Romanian transit pipe to collect raw material from various hot springs and underground magma flows in the area, and a computer memory bank housing data on all known human alleles, this system is capable of recreating any lost human genome or generating as many new and unique genomes as necessary to repopulate human civilization.
Not
Researcher
cloning,
note.
recreating
Use of the
humanity.
BZHR system is currently suspended outside of maintenance testing and emergency situations. CYA-009 is still go. Possible hostile incursion is still being investigated, and this database is proving particularly difficult to debug. We're still seeing a distribution of congenital and genetic defects far above baseline numbers. Right now, I can only guarantee about 60 to 75 viability and new specimens. See Addendum 2000-1. Dr. Christopher Ziarton, MD. Biotech Research and Development.
You can't bring them back.
Humans produced by this process can be
What
advanced
is
to any
that?
age desired without extending the 5-day
Nani?
incubation period. In addition to construction features, the BZHR also has the ability to implant memories by administration of Class G hallucinogenics and developmental hypnotherapy. Life histories, neural archetype scans, and genomes of many Foundation personnel, including all personnel of Level 4-2000 clearance and above, are maintained to ensure that SCP-2000 may
It
be
should be easy
activated and
enough.
Procedure Lazarus-01 can be initiated by as few as one surviving human.
To just give people memories to make them think that they've had a long history of civilization, when in reality they were recently created to repopulate the world.
After the implementation of the Ganymede Protocol, indicating a failure of the Foundation to prevent a K-class scenario, SCP-2000 security systems will unlock, allowing any Foundation employee to initiate procedure CYA-009. If, after 20 years, SCP-2000 remains inactive, security will be relaxed further, allowing any non-anomalous human being to access the facility and initiate the procedure. Once activated,
That's pretty smart.
SCP-2000's internal monitoring systems will attempt to locate all personnel of Level 4-2000 clearance and assess their condition. Mission-critical personnel not found will be replicated using the most recent neural archetype scan on file and awakened prior to the initialization of any other systems.
Damn, so like, if anybody who's supposed to be an authority is dead, they're just gonna be like, oh, we can recreate you. A new you that isn't really you, but it has all the same memories as you. But does that make that new person different from you? Oh god. We're going back into Ghost in the Shell territory here. Getting near Automata vibes from this. Jesus.
Did you catch that?
After these personnel are revived, security
I did.
locks will resume normal function. For a complete list of contingency options available, Level 5-2000 personnel may access Document 2000 CYA-09. Note that the receipt of the all-clear code as defined by Document 2000 XKAC-1.9 may be waived only if all other Foundation facilities have been rendered inoperative. Otherwise, security and MTF elements revived under Procedure CYA-009 will be dispatched to all remaining Foundation facilities to confirm their function and the integrity of local reality. Procedure Lazarus-01 will begin when an authorized Level 5-2000 Foundation employee inputs the desired resume date into SCP-2000's BZHR control unit. Available units will then begin production of prominent political and cultural leaders of the time period using descriptions and genetic information on file, as well as replication of a global populace consistent with the chosen time period. Most of SCP-2000's floor space is dedicated to storage of building materials, construction equipment, factory machinery, agricultural equipment, and computer database storage. In addition to infrastructure concerns, a wide cultural base with copies of thousands of famous works of art, music, literature, and a full backup of the World Wide Web are kept on site in the event that other repositories are destroyed.
It really makes you wonder then that since we've apparently reset the world 2 times, at least according to SCP-2000's logs, what year is it supposed to be? Like, say that dude in the Marianas Trench video was like living in what he perceived to be the 2000s, then what year is it for us?
HMCL note. Discovered this note in previous iteration records at Lazarus-01 conclusion.
Researcher note. If we ever have to do this again, do not set the resume date further back than 20 years before the event. Not only can we piggyback on a lot of undestroyed structures if we do, but it will make continuity a lot easier to resume. Years is too many. We are straining personnel such as it is without having to rebuild to chronological specifications, just to save time on the population and agricultural demands. Besides, how much of the 20th to 25th centuries do we really want to rewrite? And how many times? Isn't one great war hard enough to keep track of?
One Great War? What do you mean by that? World War I? Or...
Dr. Henrietta Eisenhower, historian.
My tenure as SCP-2000's HMCL will honor this request. Currently pursuing official documentation update to account for this change.
Happened
2
many
world
times.
wars is plenty. We
Yeah,
do not
there
need to
it is.
hazard a third. Dr. Charles Gears, HMCL supervisor.
You've already failed.
The first replacement humans housed off-site must
Thanks.
necessarily be
I know
informed
I'm
of
a failure.
SCP-2000's existence and function as they are being created. This strategy allows newly constructed humans to assist in reconstruction and recolonization efforts directly, and skill sets appropriate to reconstruction have been pre-selected for increased prevalence in the first 5 million individuals produced. As global population increases, the process of diaspora and reconstruction will accelerate geometrically, allowing economic and agricultural infrastructure to recover as quickly as possible. While it is feasible that some replacement humans will not survive the initial renovation period, such individuals can be recreated indefinitely until all major population centers and Foundation facilities have been completed. Foundation administrative assets during this period will focus on the falsification of dendrochronological, astronomical, and radiometric dating records necessary to maintain the appearance of historical continuity.
That is such a huge task. God damn, dude. I can understand now why the previous recording was like, 20 years is the maximum. Trying to set it back even further than that just makes our work way tougher, alright? You can kind of imagine it as like the work of a game dev of like, oh, we're gonna have to remake a new entire map just for this one section? Hell no. Why don't we just reuse the same assets? Make it work in the story.
Please see Document 2000 Retcon V233 for details. In the event that significant portions of natural habitat are also destroyed prior to the project's completion, refer to Document 2000-1 Tier V3 for approved rapid regrowth methods. It is estimated that the world population, manufacturing capability, agricultural production, and culture can be reset to 2000 CE levels 25 to 50 years after the procedure is implemented. At the conclusion of Procedure Lazarus 01, amnestic agent ENUI-5 will be released en masse, causing all reconstructed humans to forget their affiliation with Foundation assets. History will then resume from the chosen date. Each procedure will necessarily alter the course of human events due to the enormous complexity of human social interaction. Further research into predictive historical modeling based on observations from prior completions of the Procedure Lazarus 01 is ongoing. HMCL note: no further proposals for behavioral or cultural modification will be accepted at this time. Previous attempts to ameliorate violent and sociopathic tendencies in humanity as a whole have already been implemented and deemed successful. Experimentation using second iteration subjects indicates that further modification would undermine tenacity to such a degree that technological and social progress would be noticeably inhibited. See experiment log for further information.
Yeah, that does bring into question of like, since they can do this much, can't they just like perfect humanity in a way? But I suppose that we've just kind of confirmed that, yeah, we have altered things slightly, but by removing all of those things that we are kind of seen as bad, you also end up removing the humanity in humans. It's quite unfortunate that that's the nature of things, but it is what it is, I guess.
Dr. Charles Gears, HMCL Supervisor. Document 2000 SSEX. The following information establishes basic operational parameters of technology developed specifically for the SCP-2000 project. Although this technology may appear to be anomalous, it is based entirely on verifiable scientific principles currently in use by the Foundation to effect containment. The invention of the Scranton Reality Anchor, or SRA, appears to predate the first activation of SCP-2000, and is credited to Dr. Robert Scranton in 1889. The main body and much of the circuitry of the SRA are constructed of a corrosion-resistant beryllium-bronze alloy, inspired by artifacts recovered, effectively eliminating the appearance of virtual particle and antiparticle pairs required for type green reality bending phenomena to manifest. Due to the expense involved in producing the beryllium bronze alloy required for the SRA's construction, Foundation-wide implementation of the device has been limited to units capable of an area of effect less than 2 cubic meters.
Stop!
Researcher note:
the mechanism of the SRA's function and the source of its inspiration must be kept secret from all possible reality-bending entities for reasons which I hope are obvious. Only qualified Level 6-2000 maintenance technicians have been cleared to access this documentation. If any member of SCP-2000 staff reveals to you that they are a Level 6-2000 maintenance technician, please report them to O5 Command so they can be reassigned and submitted to amnestic therapy immediately. This is not a punishment, it is a legitimate safety concern. If these devices are ever compromised, so too is our lifeboat.
When you get into reality benders and things like that, things become difficult to write and to logic out. Like, I'm sure there's probably some debate somewhere about how these reality anchors actually work, and like, if they worked in the way that they did and reality benders had the power that they did, then wouldn't reality benders just change reality in order to make it so that the anchors don't work in the way that they do anymore? Or do the anchors somehow prevent themselves from being bent by reality itself? Maybe it removes the power of reality benders within a particular radius? But if so, then wouldn't the reality benders still be able to do it outside of said radius? I'm just gonna leave that for somebody else to figure out, or if it has already been figured out, then let me know.
Dr. Lowell Henry Piedmont, Esoteric Containment.
The EXAX is a device designed to stabilize the flow of causality across a given field of effect. Exacs use high-power electromagnetic radiation in the radio band coupled with a tachyon field emitter to create a permeable event boundary, allowing organic and electrical systems to pass through unaffected while maintaining a static causal environment. In other words, temporal anomalies which might normally prevent SCP-2000 from being constructed will have no effect, so long as at least one Exax remains in operation. There are no plans to implement Foundation-wide use of Exax devices. Researcher note.
I see.
Temporal sinks can be useful for a lot of things. Containing SCP objects for which you need 1 second to last 300,000 years is a good example. Holding a point of reference constant during temporal repair missions so that you can meaningfully record your progress and undo serious mistakes is another. But natural causal relationships are flexible in a way the human mind is not equipped to deal with meaningfully, and creating more than a small handful of isolated static causalities will do more to damage temporal integrity than secure it. Exax will not be implemented Foundation-wide. Yes, we have tried it during a past iteration. No, further inquiries into the results of that attempt will not be accepted. Dr. Thaddeus Zayank, Temporal Anomalies.
Oh god. I'm assuming that's how they refer to the other worlds that were reset, or other civilizations that ended up dying out because of some sort of SCP breakout and were reset by this machine.
Stop!
The use of a pseudo-Riemannian manifold allows SCP-2000's floor plan to extend into negative depths, providing 10 square kilometers of floor space. Original documentation on this system's construction prior to previous SCP-2000 activations has been lost. While this phenomenon has traditionally been indicative of spatial anomalies, it is the determination of Drs. Rosalind Axel and Tristan Bailey that the manifold entrance is consistent with an advanced implementation of modern physics. This negative space is maintained via non-gravitational singularity generated through focused particle emission across the manifold's desired entrance. In the event of the singularity's failure, the installation will remain intact in isolation and will not suffer structural collapse.
That just makes me think of like the back rooms and how that would make like such a great storage space if, you ignore the monsters and whatnot.
Recreation of the manifold is estimated to take less than 10 hours if Protocol Dead Euclid 101 is enacted immediately after failure. The isolated portion of SCP-2000 will remain operable and inhabitable for up to 36 hours after the manifold fails, and is recoverable indefinitely. Addendum 2000-1. During containment breach of SCP on Point 2, SCP-2000 experienced failure of several SRA and Exax components which coincided with activation of the BZHR units on site. For 25 days following this incident, BZHR units produced over 10 million humanoid entities with internal biology inconsistent with modern humans. Differences include an additional heart chamber, perfect polydactyl of the hands and feet, increased endocranial volume and height, and the presence of an abdominal organ of unknown purpose which emits and responds to radio frequencies in the 2.4 to 3.6 GHz range.
Why?
These humanoids were neither dosed with Class G hallucinogenics during replication nor submitted to developmental hypnotherapy. All remained unconscious until expiration 5 weeks later. Classification of SCP-2000-1 for these entities is currently under review. Whether this event is the direct result of transtemporal interaction between SCP and SCP-2000.
I wonder what SCP they're talking about, and if anybody has ever wrote anything that coincides with this story. Or maybe it's something that I've already seen before. I don't know.
Sabotage, information leak, or non-anomalous equipment malfunction is as yet unknown. Diagnostic checks and structural repair are proceeding as scheduled, nominally, within acceptable risk. SCP-2000 is expected to resume normal function as of January 2008, 2013, 2020.
Just put it down.
Addendum 2000-2. While making repairs to SRA units in Sector 3382 on Point 2, technician reported the discovery of human remains in an advanced state of decay. Analysis of clothing fragments discovered within the remains indicates the remains are 450 to 700 years old. Valid Foundation security credentials for Dr. Alto Clef were discovered nearby, although a genetic match could not be established. The following note was recovered from a hermetically sealed plastic document sleeve. Why did we have to build this thing? When did we do it? How long have we been doing it? Do we even know?
No, I don't think we do.
Subsequent interrogation has verified that Dr. Clef has no knowledge of this event and is ignorant as to the purpose of the message.
Previous Dr. Clef.
You are not normal. This is normal.
Getting mixed messages here, bro. But I already knew I wasn't normal. Thank you very much, Dr. Maxwell, for the amazingly done video. A very interesting SCP that you could kind of interpret in several different ways. From my understanding, the SCPs with the thousands, or like SCP-2000, 3000, 4000, they're all like contest winners. So they're usually the SCPs that are the most well written. And truly, with this one, you can take it in so many different ways, like that disembodied voice thing that we were hearing. Like, was that a pattern screamer? Was that maybe the soul of a human? The original humans that were here and like don't approve of the use of SCP-2000, that maybe people should have just died out or something? Maybe it's the other SCP that kind of caused the thing to happen, the reset, or what do they call it? The iteration of the previous civilizations. And when you look at how it's classified as those humans that were created that were like dysfunctional, right? They're not like modern humans anymore. But how do we know that that's like not how humans originally were? Maybe we're not normal humans, but we're just accepted in the way that we are because this is how we were created and how our memories fit and how the timelines and everything around the entire world makes us believe that we are, when in reality we used to be something completely different. Since all those records are lost and people are still trying to figure things out, I don't think that you'll ever have an answer. It's more of just that horror of maybe I'm not who I really am, and maybe things that I knew aren't actually how they are. Maybe reality itself is trying to trick me into believing that it's real when it's actually fabricated. And it's stories like these, like whether it's an SCP story or it's a different one told through different media, like a game, movie, series, it makes us wonder what we are. Like, what is the human, or what is the human soul? Because if they're able to just recreate all the personnel and all the people pretty much exactly the same and have them think and do exactly the same thing, then are they the same person? Are they a different person? Do they experience the same lifetime? Is that consciousness the same consciousness, and does the soul even exist? When you have something that can just make souls, essentially like a god would, or at least how we interpret what a god would be. I wonder as well how people on the O5 Council like must feel. How do they cope? Do they huff copium every single day? Or do they also have to live every single day with this sort of existential crisis that I'm feeling right now? Like, I know it's a fictional story, but it's also written in a way that makes you believe, just a tad bit, that maybe it's actually real. Because it could be. You never know. And you would never know. Because it's SCP. So yeah, thank you so much for recommending that I react to this video. Apologies for the long wait. We've been super busy here on the channel, doing a lot of things and preparing for the anniversary, but hopefully things are going to pick back up again. Once again, massive shout out to Dr. Maxwell. Go check out his original video in the description below, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.